Hello again. What is up, guys? My name is Lance, Panzer MMA. I got a little special video for you guys. I'm going to be talking about unranked prospects, or just prospects in general, and I'm going to be talking about where I see them in the next few years. I got a couple names. I got 6 fighters here, so let's get straight into it. Our first fighter I want to talk about is Jean Silva. Now, Jean Silva is a featherweight, and he's coming off a really interesting fight with Drew Dober where they had kind of a war, but he got the better of it. He got the TKO win due to a cut on Drew's head. Now, Jean's an interesting fighter because I was very interested in him when he was announced to fight Charles Jourdain, and he got a very slick knockout performance. He missed weight, though, unfortunately. Then after that, the whole fight with Drew. He was a fighter I wasn't really sure where he would go, but after the way he absolutely floored Charles Jourdain, who's known for having a pretty good chin, and the way he was able to have a performance like that against Drew Dober, kind of proved to me that this dude is not no fraud or nothing. Because Drew Dober is right outside the top 15. I think Jean's one hell of a fighter. Where will he be in the next few years? I think he'll be at least top 10. Right now, the top 10 at featherweight is very interesting. You have fighters like Lerone Murphy, Diego Lopez in the top 5. You also have Josh Emmett in the wings there. Max Holloway's being moved out probably because from what I know, he's going to be staying at 155 after the Topuria loss. So it looks like I think there's a lot of names here he could beat, like a Josh Emmett. I could see him beating a Yair Rodriguez. I could possibly see him beating. But when you get to the very top, there's fighters there that I'm not sure. For example, I don't know about a Diego Lopez. Volk, no, unless Volk's no chin anymore. But we're gonna find out because apparently he's fighting Topuria. Brian Ortega. There's these names that they could be risky, but also there's fights there that make sense that if you look at it, you'd be okay, yeah, he matches well against them. But it's hard to say because this could also change in the next few years. But I feel with his talent right now, he is on a hell of a run right now in the UFC. I predict, I predict a top 5 fighter in the next few years, or even soon, because he has a fight coming up here soon. And if he looks great there, he's going to probably get a ranking shot. He's a huge name right now. I'm going to predict top 5 in the next few years. Next fighter I'm going to talk about is a fighter that isn't really he's kind of new to the UFC, but he has 2 wins under his belt, and he's looked phenomenal in both fights. I am talking about Felipe Lima. Now, Felipe's a very good fighter. He had a really good performance recently at UFC Tampa where he outclassed Miles Johns, a very tough Miles Johns, moving up to 145. Before that, he had a really slick submission win for a short notice debut against a top guy. Not a top-ranked guy. I'm talking about a top unranked guy. He's looked incredible his 2 UFC fights. I'm really excited to see where he goes. I think it might be too early to say top 5, top 10, but I guarantee you in the next few years at least he will be in the top 15, 100%. I think for me that is just certain. He's looked so talented. He looks like he's getting better and better with each fight, and I just see a lot of good things coming out of this dude. His grappling's legit, his striking's legit. He's got it all, and I think he could be really good in the top 15. I predict he will 100% be in the top 15 in the next few years, if not soon. Let's say he doesn't have a fight booked yet because he just fought not that long ago. But let's say he beats another unranked, then you can give him a ranked fight. It could be really soon. I don't know, but I predict he'll be at least in the top 15. The next fighter I want to talk about is 185er Roman Kopylov. Roman Kopylov is a fan favorite, one of my favorite unranked fighters in the UFC. And he's on a really nice 2-fight win streak against Chris Curtis, though I will say I thought the stoppage was a little strange. I don't think it should have been stopped. But I thought he was winning that fight either way. Before that, he beat Cesar Almeida, who is a very good kickboxer, but he wrestled Caesar. Before that, he had a loss to Anthony Hernandez, who is a fighter who deserves his own video on his own. Roman is a very crafty kickboxer. I really love watching him fight. He gets mostly finishes in his wins. This dude on the feet is so legit. Say what you will about Chris Curtis, he's not the best fighter in the world, but he can strike pretty good. And the way that Chris and Roman were fighting each other, and it was very competitive, and he was beating Chris. I thought that was a very impressive performance. Like, he proved that he can hang with someone who has very good striking, and it has me very interested in what he's going to look like if he enters the rankings here soon, because I say he's probably a win away from the rankings, if not next fight rankings, because Chris Curtis is like right outside the top 15. It's hard to say because 185 has a bunch of killers, man. There's a lot of people. Hamzat Chimaev in the top 5. You have fighters like Robert Whittaker in the top 5. Marvin Vettori's in the top 10. I think Marvin would be a good fight for Roman, like on the feet, but on the grappling, it'd be a good test for him. Brendan Allen. Now, my prediction for Roman is that I think he's going to be a bottom 15 fighter. Now, my reasoning for this is, while he was a short notice replacement versus Anthony Hernandez, he got submitted after a pretty cool fight on the feet, but there was just a grappling difference. I think if he wants to be a top 10, top 5 fighter, he really needs to lock in on the grappling, like 100% for a little while. But on the feet, this dude has like bombs in his hands. This dude is really talented. On the feet, I think he's like top 10 worthy, 100%. But just when you mix it all together, I think I need to see another fight from him to make this assumption. But right now, I'm going to play it safe. I think he will at least be bottom 15 fighter. Okay, so the next fighter I want to talk about is, I'm probably going to get some shit for this because he just lost a pretty dominant loss at UFC 311. I want to talk about Peyton Talbot, man, because Peyton Talbot was hyped up as like, oh, he might be a contender in the future. He's 9-0. He's absolutely disgusting on the feet. Then he fights Raoni Barcelos and gets dominated after being like, I think a minus 1,000 favorite or something like that. He was a huge favorite, gets dominated by Barcelos on the ground. And that, for me, was the check. Man, Peyton Talbot really needs to work on his ground game, or else he's not going to be ranked at all. There's no chance. My prediction, now, right now, he's not top 15 worthy just because of the grappling. But in the next few years, I mean, he's only 26 years old. He's a young dude. And I think in the next few years, he works on his grappling, he will be a problem for anybody. I predict in the next few years, I'm not 100% sure, but I can see maybe a bottom 15 ranking. I don't think he would be top 10 at all or top 5 yet. I think he needs to like really craft his grappling around because the way he looked against, and his gas tank too, because when he fought Raoni Barcelos, I'm not saying Barcelos isn't a great fighter, he's a very good fighter, but he's like 38 years old. He's not really considered to be like a problem at the unranks, though he is a good fighter. It was just like a fight for me that I think Peyton Talbot should use as a learning experience, and then he'll come back stronger in like his next few fights and build himself back up, because after a loss like that, it's going to take a while for him to get to the rankings. I think he needs a couple more wins then to even be considered. My prediction is that I think he'll possibly be bottom 15, but not top 10 or top 5. The next fighter is also a fighter who just fought at UFC 311. Instead got a win, their second win in UFC. I'm talking about Renier de Ridder. Now, de Ridder is a very interesting fighter. He is a former one double champion. Keep it simple. Renier is a talented grappler, though I'm very cautious on how he would do against the ranks. So when he made his UFC debut a couple months ago, he fought Gerald Meerschaert, and for a prospect of his nature, everyone was expecting him to make somewhat easy work of Gerald, and in the end, he ended up having a war with him, going life or death, and then getting the submission at the end. Then when he went into his fight with Kevin Holland, I used this to I was thinking about this, and I was just thinking the whole time, like, man, if he went life or death with Gerald Meerschaert, what's going to happen when he fights Kevin Holland? Kevin should piece him up on the feet. That didn't happen. He took Kevin down and submitted him, smoked him in the first round. Very impressive performance. Though Kevin Holland probably, let's be real, should not be fighting at 185. I think everyone can agree. But that doesn't. I'm not taking anything away from Renier because that was a great performance. He proved me wrong, and I don't know where I see him in the next few years. But I will say I think he'll be top of the bottom 15, like number 11, number 12, 100%. Though I'm not sure about the top 10. Screw it. I'll say I think he can be bottom top 10. I think he can. There's some matchups that I would really like to see in the future, like him versus Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen, Ooh, that would be a really good fight. Anthony Hernandez, that's a good fight too. There's all these really cool grappler versus grappler matchups. I would be very curious to see him and like get tested there. And then there's also strikers that I think he could use his ground game against. But I'm gonna say bottom top 10. So the last fighter on my list today is a fighter that he kind of like. His hype train is still there, but it kind of died down a little bit after his last fight, and it was a win too. I'm talking about Bo Nickel. Now, Bo Nickel is been considered to be like future title challenger. Like, oh, he's gonna fight Khamzat Chimaev and have a really good fight with him. But after his last fight, I think he needs more time to develop as a fighter because I feel like he's being pushed too fast, and we witnessed that with the Paul Craig fight. Bo Nickel is an undefeated fighter. He's not ranked yet. And he's coming off a win streak in the UFC. His last fight, he fought Paul Craig and won a unanimous decision. People were really curious how he would look. He was a huge favorite. I was expecting to be like, okay, I want to see how his ground game is tested against something like this. I don't think they engaged in a single grappling exchange once that whole fight. It was all stand-up kickboxing that Bo won handedly, but I wasn't the most impressed because I was curious to see how his grappling would match up. But a win's a win at the end of the day. My prediction for Bo Nickel, I think he'll be a bottom 15 fighter. Top 10, I think it's way too early to say. He doesn't even have like 8 fights under his belt. But that's my prediction. I think he's going to be there. I could see him matching up well against like some of the bottom 15. I'm very curious to see where he goes from there because I think he might take that fight as like a learning experience. He says that was a great performance. I'm not going to like shit on him. I thought he looked very good in the kickboxing. I thought he looked good on the stand-up. But I wasn't like absolutely blown away. You know, I was expecting to see him like do more, like engage more on the ground, and that just never happened the whole fight. So I don't know where he's gonna be at, but right now I think he will be 100% bottom 15 at least. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, like, subscribe, send it to your friends. I want to grow this channel. I'm a huge combat sports fan. I love boxing. I love MMA. UFC in particular is just one of my favorite things. Like if I get my buddies over to watch it, it's a great time. But if you want to see more stuff from me, I have a gaming channel in the description below. I won't be uploading for a while. I have to get the whole setup figured out. But when I do, I'm going to be going crazy on there. Follow my Instagram at Lance76.2. And go check out my music, man. Music's like one of my main passions in life. I love making music. I think if you guys like R&B or like rock and maybe even some hints of plug and B, go check me out. I make some music like that. I work with my voice a lot. But at the end, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what I should do next video. And if this becomes a big video, I'm going to do a series on it. I already planned on it, but I want to really see how the reaction is first. And let me know some prospects you think I should check out for these videos because I'm really curious what you guys have to say. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.